Hello and welcome to podcast number 17. I'm Kyle.
I'm Nick.
And Nick's back.
Yep.
We talked with Zach a little bit last week, and I want to do a little update.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was president number 16.
Oh, good.
So Zach was on the Abraham Lincoln podcast.
So who's the 17th president then?
I don't know. But I know James Buchanan was number 15. So
great.
We know this is information we know now.
Okay.
We now know. I think it might have actually been Ulysses S. Grant was the 17th president. Maybe he was 18th because Abraham Lincoln got assassinated. So it was Abraham Lincoln's vice president.
You're looking at me as if I'm going to help you figure it out, and I am not. But
that's true.
Google probably.
But get out.
Google would help.
Yeah.
This isn't a podcast where we talk about the presidents in the order that they came to office in.
Unless that's something that'd be interesting to you.
Unless they use a hero's journal.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
What do you think are the odds we could get Biden to use a hero's journal?
Low.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair. So we're currently not a presidential podcast.
Very low.
But if in the small chances that he did use it, then we would be a presidential podcast.
And maybe we start going after the next president.
Yeah, right. It's
we have to start campaigning now.
Yeah.
Although I don't really know how much good it would do for us.
It's true, because we have to guess who the president would be.
I think it would just make their party hate us, or the party that didn't win, they would just
we don't want to do that.
us.
We don't want to get ourselves stuck in a 2-journal system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumb.
That was a really dumb joke. I'm sorry.
2-journal system.
Yeah. See.
Stupid.
Anyways, cool. Well, that was a weird start to the podcast, but we have had we've had a little bit of that kind of week.
It's been a weird week. So where are we at in the business, right?
Today's the 12th of March.
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
So today's Friday. This is coming out Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow
we will have 5 days left.
5 days left in the campaign.
In the Kickstarter campaign. What are we sitting at? Like
212?
$212,000 pledged to the Kickstarter campaign.
So much money. What I kind of want to do is I want to cash it out in ones.
Usually people say after that they're going to go to a particular club.
No.
What are you going to do with all the $1
I'm just going to fill the house with it. I wonder if it could fill a whole room. I really wonder if it could fill a whole room.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I want one of those big checks. I want one of the big cardboard checks.
That'd be fun.
That's what I was hoping, that the Kickstarter people come to your door and they just give you, they take the picture, and you're like, how do I take this to the bank? What do I do with this now?
Yeah. That'd be really cool. One thing we did decide this week, and this is something that I'm really excited about, is that we've decided to donate an undisclosed amount of journals. We haven't decided on the actual number yet, but we're going to start a campaign on actually giving away journals to organizations that would really benefit from them. Yeah, it's pretty early stages project. It's very early stages. We don't know how much we're going to donate or where we're going to donate to, but we know we want to donate some heroes journals. Yeah. Why is that? I believe that we make a beautiful product that is like, in and of itself, the intrinsic value of it is high. We use all the best materials, and we really spend a lot of time thinking about the way it looks, feels, and writes. Yeah. So, but I also think we offer a very valuable product from a life change standpoint. Not because you can organize your day in a way that you never have. It's because it's a lot of people's first time in their life that someone tells them they're a hero, which is it's true. Such a beautiful moment. It's true. And good point. Regardless of whether or not the journal is $50 or if it was $8, or there are groups of people in the world that any amount of money would be a barrier to receive a hero's journal. Yeah. And I think it's really important for us, if our mission is to help people be the hero of their story, is to allocate a certain amount of our resources to helping people who would never be told they were the hero of their lives and they're capable of their dreams and really pumping people up. I think that'd be a disservice to our mission. So we still have to work out the financials of making sure that we don't go out of business giving away all these journals, but we want to make sure that we partner with organizations that we believe can help underprivileged people become the hero of their lives. Yeah. That's my best explanation. No, it's great. I totally agree with that. It aligns with our vision philosophically for the way that we want to see the world. And any good company that's worth its weight has
of philosophy about the world, you know, and I think ours is to help it feel more heroic. And every hero at some point in the story is an underdog.
Mm-hmm.
They have less privilege. They have, you know, less odds of winning. Like they're not in a position of power usually. So it both makes philosophical sense, but it also makes storytelling sense,
of course,
to go to the underdogs in society and do our part in being a mentor, right? And you know,
or an ally, depending on the scenario.
And in maybe our story, the heroic thing, right, is like help the underdogs, like help the underdogs, you know, expand into like their own story, and maybe be the first person to ever call someone a hero.
My thought is, what if we're the person that gives Luke Skywalker a lightsaber? You know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool.
It's true.
I mean, it's gonna take a long time to get a Tatooine, but that's a life worth living right there. Is helping people.
Yeah.
Giving the Luke Skywalkers of the world their lightsaber.
Yeah. What a cool part to be a part of the that journey. I just finished reading Shoe Dog.
Yes. I just started reading Shoe Dog. It's like the passing of the torch, the baton. It's a running book, the baton.
And I'm sure you're annoyed about it by now.
No,
I bring it up probably every day.
I love it
because it's been great. It's like a really great book. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but just referentially, like you really get this feeling of like, you know, Phil Knight, who co-founded, you know, Nike eventually, loves sports, and in the same way. You know, towards the end of the book, right? It's because it kind of starts like from the early days of Nike's before they were anyone. But as they grow and they got more sponsorship deals, like it's like you can tell like the way Phil Knight, you know, recounts some of these stories of these athletes doing these amazing things. Like it's the same thing. It's like being a part of an incredible like historical event. You know what I mean? Like imagine like you're Phil Knight. You started this shoe company and like you're watching the live, right? We're watching Michael Jordan hit the game-winning shot.
Yeah.
Jumping in the shoes you made, right? Like,
yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. It's like he talks about in the book, he's like, and I felt like I was a part of that. Like LeBron James, like he talked about all of these athletes and like across like tennis and cross country and, you know, all these different like Olympians and like basketball, soccer, like, and just like, and then being like, we did it.
Yeah.
Going to Phil and being like, hey, thanks for taking a chance on me. Thanks for letting me wear your shoes. Like we did it. What a cool life it would be to be a part of those kind of life moments. You know, people holding our journal or people, you know, recording them in our journal. Like, just, I don't know, just super cool.
This is actually like, it's actually a meme format that you just described.
Did I?
Yeah. It's like we met a 13-year-old kid and we gave them a journal and now that person's Jeff Bezos.
That kid. Yeah. That kid was Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. So I think the reason it's funny is because there are things like that in this world. There are stories where one positive event just started the trickling of more and more positive events in someone's life. And I'm not saying that we are that powerful. I'm just saying that if we have the opportunity to do something, we should 100% do that.
Yeah. I mean, right. Like it's there, obviously there's a satisfaction in being a hero in hitting the game-winning shot.
Yeah.
You know, becoming the champion, doing the thing that you set your life out to do. Immense, you know, life-altering satisfaction. There's also deep satisfaction in being a part of that hero's story and watching them succeed, right? Some would even maybe argue that that's more fulfilling, right? So it's like maybe our hero journey was to start this company, but maybe our mentor journey is like playing a part in someone else's hero's journey. And if it wasn't for the Hero's Journal as a product, as a tool, then like that maybe never would have happened. So like those are the moments I live for. And I think that we both believe that that's what the Hero's Journal is capable of, which ties into the charitable thing. Like,
of course,
you know, and the coolest thing about that to me is it makes like, I don't know, it's kind of feels contradictory to say, but like it makes like the Kickstarter number kind of irrelevant.
I was actually going to say that.
It's like,
So I wanted to say this just based off of like, this is kind of a look inside the Hero's Journal type podcast. This is like us kind of, it's tell all, if you will.
It's like the end of a Bachelor season.
Yeah. Right. But every week we do it. Talk about the juice. Anyways, so I have been going through the process of building myself a job description. And one thing that I put on my tasks is how can I help Nick make abstract ideas concrete. That is one of my roles. That has been the relationship that we've had since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Which is, and there's times where we act as the inverse of that. But I think every great business partnership, and whenever you're trying to create something, you have to have someone who's very like grounded. You have to have someone very idealized to help make it real. Because you have to break the rules. So you have to be up here. Mm-hmm. You also have to do the thing that breaks the rules, which is down here. Anyways, so Nick went away for like a week and wrote down this like kind of a little bit of like a mind vomit of what the Hero's Journal is and what it's going to accomplish in the world.
Yeah.
And since then, we've boiled down like our mission. Our mission originally was help people tell better stories about themselves.
Yeah.
That was our original mission. It's changed a little bit. Is now it's, as it stands right now, is help people be the hero. Help as many people be the hero of their lives.
Yeah.
Right. It's purposefully non-quantifiable because it's something we want to attain. We want to try to attain every single day. So my job in that context is, okay, this is what we want to. This is what we want to be. How do we do this? Mm-hmm. And I think post Kickstarter, we have to really check ourselves. Kickstarter's a lot about numbers. Everyone can see your numbers.
Yeah.
People we have people in our community who we love it. Like, don't get me wrong.
No, we do love it. We have analysts.
Yeah, we have analysts pretty much.
Because all the numbers are available.
Tacey, if you're out there watching, you are the head analyst.
Best. Yeah. But no, you're right.
But it makes it about numbers.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way to double back to our mission, which is not about numbers. It's about helping people be the hero of their life. Yeah. And this feels like the right correction.
Yeah. We are not built. You and I've actually noticed this. You and I are not built to be the finance numbers guys. Not that we don't have the skill sets to run a company. What I mean is we're not motivated by the dollar amount.
Yeah.
Because it's just not how we're wired. We're it's one of the reasons I think I wanted you to be co-founder is I knew that we weren't ever motivated by making $1 million or making 10 million or 100 million. It's all just numbers on a computer screen. Mm-hmm. I knew that a deep value that you have is having value in other people's lives and not just profiting off of that or whatever, making a quick buck, but genuinely leaving a lasting impression on the world and in the lives of some people. Mm-hmm. Which I think that's the heart and soul. And the farther or the more and more Kickstarter might try and pull us away from that, right? And oh, look at me, look at the numbers, look at, oh man, we did 6 figures. Oh man, look at how many backers we have. Mm-hmm. I think the more dangerous we get, dangerous territory we get into. Because the Hero's Journal, the alternate universe where the Hero's Journals focus on numbers and how many journals and how many people are using the journals and how many, what's the throughput and it's it loses its soul. Mm-hmm. It loses it's like the mentor who only cares if the hero wins or loses. Yeah. It's not a good mentor, right? The mentor has to be there no matter what happens. And usually they have to be there when the hero loses, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the more you focus on numbers, especially with our brand and what we do, it just kills the soul and the mm-hmm. reason why we got here in the first place. So anyway, yeah, this week has felt a lot like a reshifting of the numbers are cool, but let's remember why we're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about this a little this morning. You, me, and Zach. Yeah. I think I used the right you, me, and Zach. Yeah. And Nick, Zach, and I. Anyway, sorry, I got caught up in that. I don't know why that mattered so much to me right there, but it did.
It's show stopping for you.
It was. It weirdly was. That's the perfectionist in me. I always say that I'm a type A with an oppressive type B in there. There's a type A guy in the bottom just getting pushed down by type B tendencies. Anyways, long tangent. What I was saying was our first Kickstarter was about bringing this thing from nothing into the world. Yeah. So it's naturally going to be something that every time we look at the number, it's going to fill us up because it's not about the money that we're going to make on it. I think we lost $70.
Yeah. Our first Kickstarter.
Yeah. If you told
so that's
me,
a good example of our finance chops.
So
we need $10,000, but if we raise $15,000, we will still lose $70.
Yeah. But whenever we looked at the number, it brought us like an amount of joy.
Yeah.
Because it meant that the thing that we felt like the world needed,
right,
and now that we know the world wanted,
yeah,
it let us do that, right?
Yeah. The world said, okay.
Whereas now, like we exist in the world,
yeah,
and so what we wanted we wanted the Kickstarter to be an opportunity to show the world, like, hey, like, we're not just a product that helps you be the hero of your life, but there's a community of people around this. It's going to create a buzz. It's going to make people want to join in and be the hero of their, like what's going on over there? Like, people who are interacting with this thing, both are really excited about the product itself, but they see there's something different.
Yeah.
And I think we have that, but there has been moments where the numbers have kind of like jumped in front. We've had to like recorrect and be like, that's not why we're here.
So
but
true.
it's a lot more difficult of like a tap dance, because you're looking for that feeling that we felt in the first Kickstarter of like, holy cow, this thing gets to come to life.
Yeah.
But it's not about the numbers this time. It's about the community engagement.
Yeah.
And building something with a group of people now.
It's such a losing game. Like when you focus on the numbers, it's like an addict. It's like, especially now, it's like you have Shopify app and you have like Kickstarter app. It's on your phone. It's like giving you notifications like, hey, so-and-so just backed for, $45 in your campaign. It's like, oh yeah. It's like you get this dopamine hit almost. And you start to associate that with like success. Like, oh, money means success. Businesses make money, which means success. And it does. Yeah. It's like, it's so weird because it's like, X's and O's, right? Like, MBA type stuff. It's like you need cash flow and profit to run a successful business.
Yeah.
Traditionally. But like, as far as, measurements that you can put on a business, cash flow profitability might be one of the lamest like ways you can measure success. Yeah. In my opinion, a lot of people would disagree with that, but like, I think with what we're trying to do, if there's no soul in it, then it's the worst way to measure,
Well, it's funny, right? Cause we've had a long discussion about this particular idea, but you can have like an innovation company. You can have like there's someone in the middle.
Innovation. There's
a relationship company.
I think it was like bargain, or like it was like a value company.
And then you can have a relationship company.
Yeah.
Right. We probably started off as an innovation company. We changed the way that you thought about setting goal setting, but we've maintained that. And I think from that, we've realized we're actually very much more a relationship company. We're all about the relationships that we build with our community as a whole, but also individual people, right? Like I got an email from LL, and I've been showing everyone because it was like the nicest, most thoughtful email I've ever gotten.
Some reading recommendations.
Yeah, some reading recommendations. And my thought was, I was like, this would never happen if we were focused on something else.
Right. If we were a value play, like, hey, we do that journal, but we do it $10 cheaper. Or, an innovation. Like, hey, put your phone on our journal and it will hover and charge it.
Yeah. And then you'll also and
it's a cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Right. Somehow it's
a non-fungible token.
Yeah. Right. All of these things. And it's like, I don't know, I'm so glad where we landed being a relationship company. It makes it so easy whenever maybe morale's down or as a leader, right? I get to say what are we focusing on here? Right. If we're not focusing on the people, then we're doing the wrong thing. Right. That's as a leader. But as personally, when I'm laying in bed and I'm tired and my eyes are all crusty and I don't want to get out of bed, I can think to myself, like, why am I doing this? And I can call out 50 people in my head who I know are using the journal, and I'm like,
first name basis.
I'm doing this for them.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And I think that is the core of the thing that you and I share.
Yeah.
Though we're very different in a lot of ways, I think the thing we share is that we have a laser focus on what that is.
Yeah. It's like, it's super well said. I mean, humans are just, are way more catering to relationships than we are to like numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to, and this is why I think we talked about this before, but I think it's like Trader Joe's has like their marketing persona, and it's like a substitute teacher in their 30s who drives like a Volvo. It's like really, really specific, because humans, like it's hard to latch on to like, oh, okay, well, how about women from 25 to 35 who are in the, it's like, it's just demographics and numbers like we just are kind of uninterested in, but you put a person behind that.
Yeah.
You put an LL or like a Nicole or a John or a Joe, or I mean, there's so many people I could just name first name basis that I've never even met in person, but have interacted with the Heroes Journal that like give deep meaning to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, it's like, even though we have thousands of customers, like those 50 customers are the ones or those 50 heroes, right? Sorry, I know I always say customers.
Come on now.
Those 50 heroes are the ones that like come to top of mind all the time, because the other thing about humans is we can't quantify big numbers. So like, when it gets past 50 people, like my brain hurts, but there's something about that simplicity, like the purity of like, I'm just going to make these 50 heroes feel extremely special. And doing that for a long period of time, it's like all of a sudden you look up and you have tons of customers and they've all felt that same experience. That's my philosophy, at least. I could be wrong. Maybe that's not scalable, but like, I'd rather die trying to scale that than trying to scale revenue to make some investor happy or to make my own ego happy or something. It's like the best notifications we get are reviews of the journal or people saying that like, hey, this thing changed my life, or, this or that. So yeah, it's just an example of that. Oh, what's up? You were filming. I'm sorry. It's okay. No worries.
That was
we'll edit it out.
No, we won't. It's all live.
It's all live, baby. We need a light.
Yeah, we need a little
like a recording.
That'd be fun. Should we do that? We should do that. Oh, cool. So I was thinking about this, and I'm gonna make a reference, and I by no means am endorsing this person's podcast or anything they stand for. I just saw this one clip. Tim Dillon made a video called Fake Business. He does this thing where he'll like call realtors and he'll act like he's like a business person. He'll like talk to them. And the crazy thing is he actually called one of them on his podcast. And like like put the phone on speakerphone and you listen to how he talks. He was like, fake business is the best. You don't need any overhead. You just do it. It's like you're practicing business, right? And I've been thinking about it a lot because it's like kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny to hear this.
I don't know who this guy is.
He's a comedian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was actually like a business person or not.
No. He's a comedian. He has like really controversial takes about a lot of things.
Oh, okay.
That's why I don't endorse him.
Got it.
I just saw this one 10-minute clip.
Okay.
But I've been thinking about it since I saw it because it hit me somewhere because I was like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong that fake business is actually very similar to real business. The way he sounded just like someone who had a client who wanted to rent a retail space. Yeah. Like it sounded exactly like it was. Yeah. And I realized like it's actually very possible. And in the age of like drop shipping and in these like turn and burn companies, it's very possible to like go through the motions, start a business, make a product, sell it to customers, and it have no meaning at all. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's all one of the other ways to look at it, right? Like we could be super excited. We could be over the moon about 212, which I'm excited about, right? It's a lot of money, right? We talked about me wanting to get ones and just like dive into it. That's a lot of money. But I would be kicking myself if it didn't mean something. Yeah. We all take, like, I didn't get paid very much at my last job. I took a $20,000 pay cut. Yeah. To do this, right? Oh, yeah. So if we ever made this about the money and we didn't, the money just allows us to do more for the community that we're building. That's all it does, right? Yeah. Every dollar we've talked about has been like, oh, do we get a bigger space so that we can have a retail space for people to come in and actually be in person? Is it, do we hire more heroes to work with us so that we can, it's all about how we can use this money to pour it back into this thing so that we can
it's never people. Let's up our salaries and buy a Lamborghini or something.
Exactly.
Not that we can even afford that, but
it's true.
That's not even on the table. It's like, what's the right move to implement these funds back into the business so that we can tell more stories. So we can get more heroes so that we can make this community more and more vibrant, more and more diverse. Like that's a really exciting reality to me, you know? So, but no, I totally agree with you. I think that there's, you know, I'm young, so I haven't lived long enough to really know if this has like been a big ebb and flow, but my assumption is that entrepreneurship has become so popular and so cool in a way, in probably in the last like 5, maybe 10 years, that you kind of you do get this like this big influx of people just doing it because it's like kind of like a fad, right? Like it's kind of just like a cool thing to do. And it's kind of like soulless in a way. It's like people going to be a doctor or a lawyer because it's the right thing to do and it's safe and pays money, right? It's like
very admirable professions.
Yeah. And you have like tons of people that either drop out of law school or go to law school and don't become lawyers, right? You know, like it's like this, it's kind of become like a, that's what you do if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
But like the irony is like wanting to go into business and be an entrepreneur to make money is like the best way to not succeed.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny that you brought up the lawyer thing. I just thought of this and I worked at a small store called Super Jock and Jill. They are the retail version of what I think we talk about when caring about your customers. Yeah. I remember when I first started, this is a side note, but
they sell running shoes.
They sell running shoes. When I first started, the GM of both the stores was there.
Yeah.
And someone came in and they tried on a couple shoes and they picked one and they left. He's like, why'd you only have them try on 3 shoes? And I was like, oh, they knew which one they wanted. I had them try them on against the other one. He's like, the thing is like, you can buy these shoes anywhere. It's like, we give the best customer experience possible. So if you're just trying to get them in and out, like this isn't the place for you.
Yeah.
Like we want to make sure that we've like, obviously there's a level of tact, right? You don't want to exhaust people, but like you want to exhaust options. You want them to leave knowing like I got the best possible shoe.
Yeah.
That's a side note, but I remember like that's actually a really like point towards the ethos side versus the money side, right? Pathos.
Well, yeah. And it shows on the customer side that I think people still care about that, the experience, the customer experience of like the other side of entrepreneurship, right, is like the market, and the market cares about how you conduct business probably more than ever. You know, like if no one cared about the retail experience or no one cared about relationships with like their you know suppliers or their vendors, whatever you want to call it, their barbers and their plumbers and their mechanics and their shoe salesmen, then business would already be all online, and it would be who has the best price for the best product, you know, which I think is the definition of like, there's no soul. There's no soul in that. Like, that's why it's so easy to demonize like an Amazon, because there's no human to human interaction. You're just going somewhere to find the best price, right? Like no shade on Amazon. It's an incredible like business, but like it is missing that, you know, that ingredient that Super Jock and Jill had a lot of. And I think that the journal would be a failure. The Hero Journal would be a failure if we were to lose that secret ingredient, or that main ingredient. There's nothing secret about it, you know, or to trade it for, I don't know, more market share or more profit, right? It's like,
what are we trading it for? Right.
Yeah.
It's like if we're already putting all the money back into the business, like what's the point of having more money if we lose the reason why we're putting the money in the business in the first place?
Yeah. Because that's how life is. Like, you know, you get to the end of your life and it's like, it's not like everyone's like, oh man, thank God I saved $10,000 more dollars. Thank God I, you know, had a little bit more money. It's like, no one's really thinking that. People are thinking like, they're thinking about relational based things, more memories, more time with family. You know, maybe I wish I would have worked less so I could travel more and experience, right? Like that's what humans are driven by. And even as entrepreneurs, even though there is like a gauge of like how much, you know, money are you generating, you know, as a form of success, right? Just like a basketball player has to win games or be on a winning team at least, or be scoring. But that's not why. Like, you become an entrepreneur to work way harder than you would ever have to make a paycheck anywhere else to get a human experience. So why would you ever trade that for a little more money?
Yeah.
so you can lay on your deathbed and I don't know, have less experience, but have a little more money. It's like, it's not why, at the end of Street Dog, I don't want to ruin it, but like he kind of has, he's like, my biggest regret is that I can't do it again. That's what he says. It's just like, it's about that journey and it's about that experience and building something with people. It's never about the money. So
yeah. The story that was really well. That was a nice diatribe.
Thank you.
I was thinking about this guy he for some reason lives rent free in my head. I don't know what it is. Like literally, like it was a 30-minute conversation that lives rent free in my head.
This is a super Jock and Jill?
Super Jock. So one of my goals at Super Jock and Jill was I thought it was the best customer experience to not talk about shoes very much, because the more you talk about shoes, the more you start over analyzing the actual shoe, and it makes it more difficult and stressful to make the decision. Right? Like I want you to have the right amount of information, but I don't want you to have too much information.
Yeah.
So I just liked having an interesting conversation, and I wanted to have a conversation that someone wouldn't normally have. Anyways, I was talking to this guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I went to the university. He's like, I went to the University of Kansas. I got my JD. I was a lawyer for a year, and I hated it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, so I moved to Seattle to work for Microsoft. The stores that like it was in the city that Microsoft's in." And he was like, "I just became a writer for them." And now he's like, he was one of the head lore writers for Halo. And it was like,
so cool.
It's such a good example of someone who did all the right things, right? Went to law school, was like, did all like the stuff. And then was like, you know what? There are people who love being a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
It's something it's a very fulfilling job for them. But there are some people who like thought that's what they wanted their life to be.
Yeah.
They realized it was not. And he had he was daring enough to like go find the life he wanted to live.
Yeah.
And now he gets to do something he thinks is cool, something I think is cool. And it's like, being a lore writer for Halo, a game that you've probably spent more hours playing than anything else in your life.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't play very much Halo, but you were a Halo semi-pro.
Huge semi-pro Halo player.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was one of those things where sometimes you have to like ignore what the world says something is.
Well, those are the best kind of people, right? And they're extremely rare. But when you can find, I mean, so just like if I could close my eyes and imagine a future of the Heroes Journal where we have employees and stuff, and maybe an office space, like first of all, there's no pandemic in that vision. But another thing is like those seats are filled with people who have showcased their ability to be extremely competent, like going to law school, for instance, but have also showcased the ability to be extremely rebellious. Like, actually, no, I'm not going to be a lawyer, and I'm going to like go write for a video game, right? Like it's that diversity of thought and the freedom of thought, but also the ability to like stick to like a plan and like finish a law school degree or whatever it might be, right? Like that's my ideal scenario. I was like finding people who are, who are technically qualified, but not just like the straight A, I did all the right things, I studied all the right things, but like also the free thinker. Those people are hard to find. Really they're the most, because they're the most hireable people.
Yeah.
But like those are the people you want to build something with because they kind of have like a chip on their shoulder. They have all the competency of anyone you could ever ask for. They have all the talent, but they also have all of the like, I don't know, just like they're annoyed with how the world is.
Yeah.
And they have the competency to make it somewhere more ideal for them. And maybe for someone it's like, I want to write better video game lore. Hopefully we can find some people that want to help other people tell better stories about themselves.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
The hiring conversation is interesting. I have two thoughts and they're contradictory. So maybe they're two scenarios.
Okay.
So we had this conversation this morning. We went full time on the Heroes Journal a year ago. And for the last year is the dumbest I've ever felt in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm just not smart.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not like trying to be like self-deprecating. It's just a feeling of like, holy, like there's so much I don't know. Yeah. There is so much this world has to offer that I just don't understand. Whereas it was really in a corporate environment, it was easy to appear smart.
Yeah. It's true.
Whether or not I'm not talking about my actual capability. So from a hiring scenario, I either want to hire someone who's willing to feel dumb or it's our job to build the foundation so that people can feel smart while we feel dumb. You know what I mean? Like we can create an environment where people feel successful and they feel like they're doing the right things and they're able to actually succeed while we feel dumb.
Yeah.
I can't decide which one's more important. Is like,
I think having an environment where everyone is curious to the point where they're not ashamed to try something and be wrong, which might be feeling dumb.
Hey, I'm normally the PR guy here, so
is ideal. Is ideal. But like, I don't know if it's a perfect act. You know what I mean?
They're contradictory though, you know?
I think I would rather be in a room where everyone's on the same page and everyone feels dumb, or everyone like I want to be in a room not where everyone feels dumb, but where everyone's curious. Yeah. And they are vulnerable and willing to throw a crazy idea out there and have the competence and effort to implement that idea to see if it indeed is like dumb enough to crash and burn or crazy enough to just work, you know, just might work. Those are the kind of people that I think you want to be surrounded by. Yeah. You know, so I don't know. I think that if we're the only people that feel dumb, it's probably not great.
That's better than everyone. Like, I guess it's better than everyone feeling dumb, but not feeling supported and feeling dumb, you know?
Well, yeah.
I guess that
wasn't one of the scenarios you threw out.
I know.
Changing the rules on me.
Well, so it was funny. So I got my master's. In one of my last classes, the professor brought in the founder of World Vision. Yeah. It's like a big charitable
nonprofit.
And he said something that like I knew and I believed, but it was cool seeing someone who was successful say it. He said he's like, there are millions and millions of things I don't know. He said, growing this business, and the one thing that World Vision did really well was instead of hiring people to go into refugee camps and distribute food, he would bring the food, and then they would be there for a few days, and they would see who the leader of the community was, and they would put the community leader in charge of distributing the food. Yeah, because the community leader knew the people better than anyone who came in fresh. Right. So he was like, instead of trying to inflate my ego and try to learn everything this world has to offer, it's like I consider hiring someone, or I consider it all strategic partnerships. I'm bringing you in because you know something in my blind spot. Yeah. And that's like, because World Vision's massive. That was like one of the most humble things anyone's like, because he could have easily been like, yeah, I'm sick. Like I've done this much good in the world, right?
I'm sick.
But like his answer was very different. And I've appreciated that for a long time of like, I'm hiring someone as a strategic partnership in an area that I have a blind spot, or I'm incapable of being good enough, right? John Combs is a great example. Yeah. You and I can send emails, but it was getting neglected to a point that we were not having the best hero service possible. Yeah. And John was the person who came in and brought it up to snuff. Right. So that now we are comfortable with the way that we respond to our hero emails. Yeah.
It's like there's so many things like that in the business, and it feels like there's a new one every day. Basically, the pattern is like, we could handle something and bring it up to satisfactory, or you could define what the problem is and what needs to be solved there, hire the right person, and make it exceptional. Make it absolutely way better than it could ever be if I were to ever do it. Even if I committed my full time to it, you know what I mean? Like hero service or like fulfillment or something like that, or, you know, a handful of other things. It's like hiring the right person to not just take on the responsibilities and do the same job I would do, but to take it and make it their own and implement their own ideas, be strategic, to be innovative. Like that's the thing that gets me really excited. Handing off to those kinds of people. Yeah. They're like, not only am I going to, like, I'm not just here to like, I'm not just an email monkey. I'm not just going to respond to these emails. Like, I'm going to like create an entire process and system.
It's true.
And we're going to level this up. Right.
And John has, for example.
John totally has. Like,
got a system. We've streamlined everything.
Yeah,
it's pretty much all him.
Like it used to be a nightmare. So anyway, I guess big shout out to John. If we could just figure out how to do that with every single aspect of our business, getting better and better and better, I think it'd be a really great.
No, it's an interesting part. So Nick and I recently listened to the book The Goal by, I think his name's, I'm gonna give it a shot. It's like Eliud Goldratt, I think is his name.
I have no idea.
Something close to that.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he solves all the problems in his plant, all the production issues, solves them, right?
Yeah.
And he's sitting at his desk and he's like, my phone hasn't rang.
He's like, I had nothing to do.
But that's a sign of being good at your job. Like if you're a leader of people and you're trying to get things done.
Yeah.
Giving people agency to do their job is your biggest job, which means it's actually a good sign. If you're like sitting there and you're like, I don't have anything to do as far as function right now. Right now you're trying to figure out, okay, what does the future hold?
Yeah. Now you have bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's weird how humans, and people do this in relationships all the time, right? It's like you get addicted to the drama.
Mm-hmm.
You get addicted to the arguing, or you get addicted to like putting out work fires or whatever it might be. It's like you get so, because there is a sense of purpose in that, right? Like, it's like, oh, this business needs me because everything's always terrible and I have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not solutions oriented, right?
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me. It's like, it's just a weird human thing that I picked up on that like people like to do. But as like founders, like you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find solutions, and then hopefully you're right. You're sitting at your desk and you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
It's like, well, create some more problems and then hire some more people,
right?
And then do it over and over again until the world's a better place. You know? I want to end with this thought.
Okay.
We talked about Shoe Dog and stuff. We also talked a lot about like our mission and what it means to be a hero and what we'd like the world to look like. I'm probably going to butcher it, but there's at the end of towards the end of Shoe Dog, like he's kind of reminiscing on the effect that Nike has had on the sports world and just the world in general.
Mm-hmm.
This idea that it's like you can do anything in a pair of Nikes and the greatest athletes in the world are wearing them. And then, people are wearing them to work and people are wearing Nike apparel. And it's like this worldwide dress code in a lot of ways, and it's provided like, tens of thousands of jobs for people across the span of like 30 or 40 years. And just like, they start like, charities within their own thing. They like, I think in the early 2000s, they got outed for like sweatshop. Like they kind of jump into that and they're like, we made the conditions in the sweatshops like way better than they ever were in the world. And now this standard is like a Nike factory for anywhere in the world because they like went in and fixed that problem. And you just kind of hear Phil Knight like go like rant about this, like about being an entrepreneur and like starting something and running a business like makes the world a better place if you make the right decisions. And if making the right decisions with the finances that you gain from providing value for the market is called entrepreneurship, then it's like, then I guess I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I love the way that he put it. He's like, he never really self-identifies as some mogul or some extremely successful businessman, even though he is. He just identifies as someone who hates losing and wants the world to be like a better place. And I really identify with that. I was like, yes.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me. I literally have a Nike tattoo on my arm.
Yeah. Sponsor us.
Mostly because these were the shoes that I wore when I found out that running was my passion.
Yeah.
So it's like
that's why I'm like, you have to read this book.
I know. I've actually been wanting to read it for a long time.
Yeah.
I just hadn't.
It's great.
Gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way you said that. Right. If entrepreneurship is, I boil it down like if entrepreneurship is trying to like add value to the world.
Yeah.
That's 100% how I want to spend my time.
Yeah. He also, and I don't want to get political, but in the beginning of the book, he does a lot of traveling around the world and he sees like terrible poverty under like communist rule. And this is also 10 years after World War II. So he was like in his 20s, but it's interesting to see that character arc. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to use this to lift the world into a better place. I'm not just making cool shoes for people to collect, and like now Michael Jordan has a pair of shoes. It's like, man, when we think Nike, we think like huge brand, cool stuff. But like when he thinks of Nike, he's like, I made the world a better place before I left it. And I'm like, man, that's like super inspiring to me. So anyway, feels like a good place to end.
Yeah. Thank you so much, if you made it this far, for watching or listening, wherever you enjoy your Heroes Journal podcast content. We absolutely love running this company. It's the thing that keeps us up at night for both good and bad reasons. And we just hope to continue to give a look inside of how we operate and who we are, as well as to inspire you to be the hero of your life. So if that content sounds interesting to you, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every subscribe helps to kind of get more of this stuff in front of new heroes. Subscribe to our podcast if you don't want to miss an episode. And and
this is your last chance, by the way, to get the Heroes Journal, the Story Magic Academy. This will be the last podcast that will come out. So if you're listening to this and you haven't backed the Kickstarter yet, you won't be able to get an IMA journal for
pretty long
for months. So make sure and pledge if you want one. Now's your last chance. And if you want an add-on, you can add on the original Heroes Journal for like $35, free shipping. So significantly cheaper than we offer on our website, as kind of a thank you for being a backer. So yeah, that's kind of your last chance to do that. My last plug. And thanks for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you guys.
Have a great week.
See you guys.
Happy questing.